Hi again, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to It's a Dog's Life.
Hey.
This is one of our first change videos. This one deals with Frankie Darrow, so Rasmus is here with me and no one else. Doo-doo-doo-doo. It is just going to be him and me for this, and before we get started, I'm going to issue a slight warning because this is going to be a video that deals with some pretty heavy stuff. Specifically substance abuse and mental trauma. So you know, if you're not in the mood for that, or if those are triggers that affect you badly, then be forewarned that this is what is taking place here. We thought it best to mention it because it potentially, at least, it can get pretty nasty. But now that is out of the way, we are dealing with a slightly younger than Game Start Frankie at this point. You would have literally just turned 15 by the time we do this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
So that's a while ago.
yeah, that's been a few years. And you are at a party.
hmm
Now, where would you say that this party takes place? School or anything of the sort?
Well, that depends on how respectable the party is, because as we're probably going to learn at this point in time, Frankie is not a particularly respectable youth.
No,
Um,
no. I would say that the party itself is one of those where they like to pretend that everything is on the level, and then it's not really.
mm, okay.
You know, yes, mom and dad, everything's going to be just fine. They're all responsible people.
Ah, yes. It's a parents out of town party.
Yes. All right. In that case, you are hanging out there, and it is still, you know, relatively early in the evening. Let's say that maybe a couple of hours have gone by at this
Yeah.
point. The house that this party is being held in is probably never going to recover.
Ooh.
There are people doing the Humpty Dumpty dance in the corners. There are people who have thrown up in every potted plant by now. There are people who have urinated on the couch. There are, you know, you mention it. It's been going on because at this point, after a couple of hours, people, by and large, are completely fucking sloshed. They are
Yeah.
utterly hammered.
That does sound appropriate for the kind of crowd I imagine Frankie would be hanging with at this
Yes.
point in her life.
Yes. And most of them would be older than you in that case.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They would probably be in the 17 to 20 age range for the most part.
Yup.
And Frankie would sort of be the one of a couple of, you know, younger attendees who would have been, you know, hauled along because, oh yeah, she's cool, she won't rat on us to her parents don't give a shit anyway, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much the intellectual level we are moving at here. You are sitting across a table, which is soaked in alcohol by now from half-empty beer cans that have been pushed over. The floor is ruined. People have just, you know, thrown their cigarette and weed butts on the floor and just stamped them into the carpets, and it's just
Oh, is it one of those things where like you lift your foot and it just goes?
Yeah, pretty much by now. Where you know, the carpet is covered in unmentionable things. You saw at least there's at least been one guy who's literally defecated on the carpet. Because
Wow.
he couldn't be bothered. He was so drunk he just pulled down his pants and shat on the carpet instead of finding the toilet. He's that far gone.
Somehow I imagine someone cheered for that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Quite a few. Um, it's every horrible teenage party gone completely fucking belly up times 10.
Yeah.
So you're probably having a pretty good time.
Oh yeah. Or at least I'm telling myself I am.
Well, that is absolutely an option. CharismaToAC does not condone this kind of behavior, ladies and gentlemen. This is a service announcement. So yes, you are sitting there across the coffee table from a guy that you're pretty sure is called Billy. You're not completely 100%, but right now he registers as Billy in your brain.
Fair enough, as long as he also responds to it.
He responds to Billy, definitely. So there's a pretty good chance that is in fact his moniker. He is sitting there with some kind of alco soda, you know, some sort of alcoholic soda drink, and he is looking drunk, but he's not quite as far gone as some of the others here. He's also one of the older guys here. He's probably in his early 20s. Like, 22, 23, which makes him a good deal older than you, obviously. But he's sitting there with his drink, which he occasionally chugs some off, and once in a while he finishes one, and then he just reaches out for a 6-pack and takes another one and opens it. And he seems to have a very high tolerance for alcohol.
Right.
Because it's not that he's not packing them away. He certainly is.
No. I imagine that Frankie thinks he's really cool.
Yeah, probably. He's also not the worst looking guy in the room. He's not exactly a drop dead gorgeous hunk, but he could be mildly interesting.
All right, so he's older and he can definitely drink, and he's not bad looking. Yeah. There's definitely some mild infatuation in that case.
Yeah, definitely. And he at one point he looks over at you and is like, "Oh, you need another drink. It's been 5 minutes since you finished the last one? Come on." And he holds out one of his alcohol soda thing, whatever, Smirnoff Ice things to you.
Yeah, if Frankie grins like a crooked grin, yeah, man, and then takes it.
And takes it and then opens it and it's just an alcoholic soda, but it's added on top of what you're already drinking. I'm imagining at this point that Frankie is mixing her drinks.
Yeah.
That it's not just beer or just Smirnoff Ice or just wine or it's just whatever people put in front of you.
And that's a very good way of wording it, because I don't imagine Frankie has quite a lot of money. So whatever she can get her hands on.
Mm-hmm. And it's not been difficult, because quite a few of the people who are here think that it's hilarious to get the kids drunk. So, you have had no difficulty finding replacements whenever your beer can was empty. It's mostly been beer, but not exclusively. There's been some shots in there as well, and there's been, a couple of alcohol sodas. And I'm imagining at this point that Frankie is certainly buzzing, if not outright drunk.
Oh, I think she's outright drunk. It's not that she's inexperienced with alcohol at this point,
No,
which
no.
is, I guess, not a word, but she's. It sounds like she's had quite a bit,
Yeah.
and she's not a large girl.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? She's not exactly huge, and you get so you get this soda, and you drink some from that, and after another moment, another guy comes over. You haven't seen him before tonight, but there's something like 50 people here, so
It's not unusual.
it's you may in fact have spotted him in passing, but you hadn't noticed him until now. But
Right.
something tells you that you would have noticed him because this guy is gorgeous.
Oh,
He's well dressed, he's wearing like high. It's off the rack stuff, but it's expensive off the rack.
ah,
Um, And he comes over and looks at Billy and then at you and then back to Billy, and he's like, "Are you still? I'm like, dude, you're still just drinking? Come on, what kind of pussy are you? Seriously?" And then he takes out his wallet, and from the thickness of the thing, he could use it. To quote an old sitcom, he could use that wallet to beat whales to death.
wow.
He is clearly loaded.
I think that is actually Frankie's reaction. Wow.
Yeah. He takes out a couple of small pieces of looks like almost like a stamp from this wallet, and he puts it down on the table and looks to Billy, and he's like, "There you go." And Billy looks up at him and takes out his own wallet, which is considerably thinner, but he still finds a couple of banknotes and a couple of some cash basically, and pays.
Mm.
And then he takes one of these things and he puts it under his tongue. And just before he does so, he looks to you and then he nods to the other stamp on the table, and it's like, "Come on."
Yeah. I don't think Frankie knows what this is.
No.
But
But
whatever.
he puts this thing under his tongue and leans back in his seat. And so basically that shows you what to do.
Yeah, she's quick to mimic.
Yeah. And it tastes weird when you put it under your tongue, but the effect of it is quite quick. It's quite swift. Because it only takes a few moments before basically, well, it's an acid trip. And the colors start to flow and blend into each other.
Wow.
And yeah, exactly. At first it's fascinating. And a little bit weird, obviously. But also it affects your brain chemistry in pretty significant ways. And at first it's like, "Oh wow, what the hell is this? Oh, cool." And the colors just suddenly you feel like you're on the couch that you're on is a boat, and you're riding on a raspberry river,
Cool.
with and you can taste the green in the air, and the you can feel what blue feels like, and everything is sort of based on colors at first, and it's alien, and it is sort of weird, and but it's also, at least at first it's, because it's new and so on, it's interesting and it's fun.
Exactly. I was about to say, up until now, Frankie's mostly been telling herself she's having fun,
Yeah.
but this, it's just,
This is actually, for her, this is
yeah,
actually fun. And
it's
and
out of this
again,
world.
it's a yeah, exactly. It's out of this world. It's completely surreal. Is the best way of putting it. It's surreal.
Hmm.
And and for a moment it feels like you're all alone. Like you're the only person on this boat on this Raspberry River.
Yeah.
And that's actually not a very nice feeling.
Oh, no.
That's actually quite lonely suddenly. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, there were all these happy people partying all around you just a moment ago, and now everything just went super quiet, and you're kind of just drifting along on this river.
I'll,
And the good-looking guy is gone, and and suddenly you notice, oh, you're not quite alone because there's Billy, but why is he in the river?
that's weird.
What do you do?
Yeah, I think Frankie calls out, "Hey, Billy, what are you doing down there?"
And Billy responds. You can tell that it's him, even though he's actually got he's face down in the river, but he turns around and it's still him, but he looks wrong.
Oh.
Like he opens his mouth and he's got these sharp teeth, and his tongue almost like it unfolds or rolls out of his mouth, almost like it's been curled up in a big wad, almost, and it just curls out and it reaches. He doesn't reach up for you, but his tongue is long enough that it sort of reaches up and tries to lick at your face,
Yeah.
which is really kind of, and you can smell his breath from where you are, and that is really foul.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he's like, he's trying to say something, but you can't make out because all sound is completely slurred.
Right.
It sounds like he's speaking, but you're hearing him talk in ultra slow motion,
Oh.
which is sort of creepy. All other things are
Yeah,
moving,
I don't think Frankie's having a good time anymore.
Nope. And everything is moving at normal pace except sound, which is really, quite slow and so on. And suddenly you also realize that there are other things and stuff in the river, and
Oh.
it's almost like they're not quite crocodiles, but there are nasty things in the river that are, definitely predatorial of some kind. And now you realize it's not raspberry,
No.
it's blood.
Oh.
It's because there are people in the river, but they're getting chewed on and gnawed on and eaten alive.
Oh, I think Frankie tries her best to like scamper up as far as she can onto the couch,
Yeah, yeah,
waving away the tongue and just stares in
yeah.
horror.
In absolute horror at the image in front of her, and it just basically it keeps getting more and more out there as the boat drifts along, but eventually the boat actually comes to rest against the shore somewhere, and you're not quite sure when or how or whatever, but you can get off the boat.
I'm getting off the boat.
Yes. So you have terra firma under your feet again. Do you go somewhere? Do you just run in a random direction? Do you look for something? What do you do?
I think to begin with, Frankie just runs.
Yeah.
Like, there's not time to take in where I am. I want to get away from wherever that was.
Yeah, definitely. You also you run, and at some point you see some buildings up ahead.
Well, that's good. That
That
means people typically.
Yeah, and at least it's a place to hide.
Yeah,
Okay, so I take it you run towards the buildings.
absolutely.
Yeah. You get there, and the buildings seem to be deserted once you get there.
Oh,
And
but I can
then
still hide.
you can still hide there. In fact, it's almost like you realize that these buildings, it's almost like a movie set.
Oh,
There are like what are they called? Mannequins here.
ah,
That are basically there's supposed to be background stuff
mm,
for some sort of movie set. You can even see there's a car parked somewhere with a camera on the back. Um,
oh, yeah, that makes sense.
so it's like a movable movie camera, but it's quite large and it's cumbersome from the looks of things. It looks kind of old.
Yes, I will have to take a short break. I'm being called.
Yes, of course. As while Rasmus is taking a short break, I should, of course, reiterate that none of this is in any way something we endorse, and we certainly do not recommend drug use of any kind. It is a. This is a scene meant to illustrate horror, obviously. On that note, we will be doing first change recordings for everyone in the group, and uploading them, and they should typically be about an hour long each. Unfortunately, we have a bit of a wait here to get through. But that can't be helped. And for those who are wondering, the reason why Rasmus had to take a break is because that sound in the background was his telephone. He received a phone call, basically. So, while we would normally...
There we go.
Okay, there we are. We are back.
Yes. No, so it's like a movie set.
It's like a movie set. There's this camera on the back of a car. It looks old, kind of cumbersome and large,
Mm.
and maybe more something you would see in the 70s or 80s rather than in the 21st century, where movie cameras are not quite so large
That's
and
weird.
yeah, cumbersome. Yeah, it is sort of weird, and everything is kind of dusty as well as you get there, and it's actually quite a. Suddenly, the buildings aren't. They aren't the creepy part, but the mannequins suddenly feel sort of, almost like they're looking at you.
Yeah, I think both them and then the camera. I don't think Frankie likes that they're looking at her.
No,
So
you
she,
probably especially don't like it when you realize that mannequin over there just turned its head to look at you.
no.
And it's
I'm
and
not
it's
going in that
clearly
direction.
not a living creature. It's obvious that it's a mannequin.
Right.
But it just, while you had your eyes right on it, it turned its head and looks at you with these dead plastic eyes.
Yeah, I think Frankie just was fuck. And
Yeah.
yeah, now I want to run in a different direction, please, and
Hmm.
thank you.
And just as you turn around to do so, you see what looks like a pack of wild cats and dogs coming out from between the buildings. There are quite a lot of them. And they're all like slinking out, moving closer to you. All of them look mangy and diseased, and like their furs and patches. They look and they look very hostile, very hostile. One of the dogs bares its teeth and shows you these yellowing, teeth and gums that are, again, clearly this is not a well animal that looks at you and snarls and it's a threatening situation, definitely.
I think Frankie scrambles for a moment, like, okay, I can't go that direction, I can't go that direction. Shit. Okay, that direction.
All
and
right.
then she starts running again, even if I think at this point running feels a bit weird for her.
Yeah, it probably does. And as you start running, of course, the animals follow.
Oh no.
But what is a lot more nasty, really, and a lot scarier is you see a car door opening and one of the mannequins gets out on stiff legs and starts to, shuffle after you, almost zombie-like. And several of the others mannequins that have been there's a family of mannequins that has been sitting at a garden table where they've had a quote unquote meal, for as background. They get up and stretch out their arms in front of themselves and start shuffling after you as well.
And fuck that, no.
Yeah, and you're running, but it feels like your feet is getting stuck in tar. So you're running and you're running as fast as you can, and it just doesn't quite seem to be fast enough. And at this point, you can start hearing laughter. It's distant. It's distant, but it sounds like you can hear maybe 5 or 6 people that are laughing.
Yeah.
And they're you don't quite know how or why, but you know that they are laughing at you.
Yeah, I think Frankie puts, like, not deliberately, but I think she just puts a hand to her chest as she can just feel her heart, like, almost trying to escape.
Your heart is going at 200 miles an hour right now. It's like it's going way too fast. Even with the probably not impressive knowledge of physiology that the average 15-year-old has, that your heart is not supposed to feel that way.
Yeah.
And it's just, it gets worse and worse and more terrifying as you slowly manage to put the buildings behind you, with both the animals and the mannequins still shuffling after you. Suddenly the whole building bursts, or the whole town bursts into flames, but it's burning it's not burning with the normal colors of fire, it's burning green. This really sickly green, and you can smell sulfur, and it is just absolute. By this point, there isn't a single one of your senses that isn't getting overwhelmed with horror.
Yeah, I think still running, presumably. I think Frankie starts sobbing while she's running.
Yeah.
This is just too much. This is overwhelming.
Yeah, it would be overwhelming for anyone to experience something like that.
Absolutely.
And eventually, you don't know for how long you run, but you do run for quite a while, and you simply run yourself into the ground. At some point you collapse and you pass out from terror and exhaustion, quite simply.
Yeah.
And sorry, please go on.
I don't imagine, though, that being passed out is particularly pleasant either.
No, it's not. You have, while you can't remember your dreams and you don't know what's going on, you have a very distinct feeling that you're still moving. And that's you feel incredibly unclean.
Oh yeah.
And
grime and dust and rivers of blood and
and
whatever the fuck
yeah,
that was.
but also on a deeper level, more like it feels like your soul is, and it's, you know, you may never have had a concept of a soul until this moment, but there is something deep within you that just feels tainted,
Right.
and something is lashing out and rebelling against it, something else. And in that darkness, in that horrible darkness that you're experiencing in your unconsciousness, you start to realize that there is something within you that is fighting back.
Okay, that's good. I want to focus on that because
Yeah.
the other thing makes me want to throw up.
Yes, but
Until
this is something which is powerful and strong, and that you've never felt before, and it is incredibly angry at what is being done to you. You've never felt this form of pure, unadulterated rage before in your life. It is in fact pure. In that there is, after a moment, there is nothing else. You focus on it, you say.
Yeah, definitely.
And it wins out and it takes over. And as you regain consciousness, you realize that something is really weird. You're looking at the world from a completely different angle than what you're used to.
Yeah.
For one thing, a much taller point of view than what you're used to.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, it is, and you also realize you're covered in blood.
Oh.
Your hands, and as you look at them, they start to change. You begin to shrink as you look at your hands, but they go from these long claw-like things back to normal, but you are soaked in gore.
Oh. Remember that thing where I said I wanted to puke?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a choice anymore.
No, you basically lose what contents you had left in your stomach.
Yeah.
And as you throw up, the natural reaction is, to bend over and turn around. And as you do that, you realize why you're covered in blood.
Uh-oh.
As you turn around, you see two of your classmates on the ground behind you in pieces.
Oh, crap.
You recognize them because, well, one of them, a girl, still has her head attached to the rest of her body, if only barely.
Ugh.
The other one is a guy who wears a jacket that you recognize. Can't see his head anywhere, or his right arm for that matter.
I think there's a gurgling sound as Frankie tries to scream while she's puking.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts and it's unpleasant and
mm-hmm. It is, and something in you have no doubt that somehow you did this.
Yeah.
You don't know how, you have no clue how this happened, except you just saw your hands look really, really strange and covered in fur. Oh. And then this, and you're looking at these two, and they are definitely very much permanently dead.
Right.
You realize you're standing in the middle of the road. This is not you're actually not inside York, in this case you're not in York yet, in Bradford. You're not in Bradford. You're outside the city. You can see the city in the distance. The city limits. It's pitch black out here, so it's like a by road or something. And basically, for all you know, it looks like these two could have. It kind of sort of looks like they got hit at very high speeds.
Right.
But you know that isn't what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
And
I think I tried to scrape as much blood off of me as I can.
yeah. And as you do that, you hear a voice. Oh, shit. You're actually one of those fuckers. Oh, I'm gonna get a monthly bonus for killing you. And it's Billy's voice.
Billy?
You turn around and you look at him. You're no longer, seeing weird shit and so on. The world is back in focus.
Right.
Except he still looks like he did. With these sharp teeth and deformed jawline, and his tongue is like drooping out past his mouth. He looks monstrous.
What's wrong with your face?
Don't worry about that. He sort of gargles, and he brings up, his hands come up, and you see that he's got these claws as well. And just as he rushes at you to attack you, there's something inside you that snaps, and once again you're not quite sure what happens until a few moments later, or you think it's a few moments later anyway. You are holding about half of Billy, and you're once again very tall. You're holding the upper half of Billy, while the lower half is detached and lying on the pavement. And he is expiring while you hold him.
I don't think there's much capacity left upstairs. I think Frankie just stares.
Yeah. And as you eventually let go of the now dead Billy, there's another. You probably, or you do, sink down to your knees.
Absolutely.
And sob. Because this is just, everything is horrible. Everything is awful. And you feel like your insides are burning. You feel like your whatever it is that has happened to you, you have no clue whatsoever, except yet again you have blood everywhere, and your hands and your snout, for some reason you can see when you look out your eyes. You look down like a dog-like snout, and none of this makes any sense whatsoever.
No, I think the only thing Frankie can really do is just scrape her arms to try and get them clean.
Yeah. And you're probably scraping so hard that you're scraping the top layer of skin off.
Yes.
And fur and everything, and it's just you're an absolute mess. You're an absolute
completely
mess. And you hear a voice of a woman.
No.
After a moment, going, "Oh my goodness! Oh dear! We're gonna have to help you. This is, oh dear." And the next thing you realize is somebody is putting a blanket around your shoulders. You don't really have the strength to react in by getting up or anything. It's your legs won't obey you at this moment.
No, I don't even think I have the strength to sob.
No, but there's somebody who puts a blanket around your shoulders and actually gives you a hug.
Okay, maybe there's a little strength left to start sobbing.
So a reassuring sort of gesture, saying, all right, we need to get you out of here, and we need to get Oh my goodness. I need to call someone. We need to get these bodies out of here as well and gotten rid of. What's your name? She asks. It's okay, don't worry. I'm a friend. My name is Aoife.
I think Frankie manages to nod.
She takes a few moments to help, to sort of rub some warmth back into you, and then she says, close your eyes.
Okay.
Yes. And she says, and imagine your own reflection this morning in the mirror. Imagine what you looked like this morning, really intensely. Just focus on that, nothing else. And
I think it might probably take a while because focusing on anything is not.
It's not easy.
No.
And she's not pushing you or pressuring you or anything. She's like, if she's doing anything, it's she's being kind and gentle with you and letting you get around to her to her way of thinking, so to say, in your own time. And then she eventually does manage to get through to you with this, and you do change shape again, back to Homid. At which point you realize that you're stark raving naked.
Well,
except for the blanket that she's wrapped around you, but all your clothes are gone, basically.
Right. Well, it's just a bonus on top of all of it, isn't it?
This is terrible. It's she's on a cell phone while you're recovering. She calls someone and says she's speaking a language you have no understanding of into the receiver, and she's sounding very insistent. And then she basically eventually she says you should come with me, I'll help you. And I've made sure somebody will take care of all this. Don't worry about it.
Again, Frankie nods. She whether going with this woman is a good idea or not, there's not enough brain power left to process.
No.
So she's basically catatonic but able to move.
Yeah. And she does take you with her to not to her home, but to the home of someone she knows, where you are given some some clothes. You borrow some clothes from those there that doesn't fit, but at least you're not naked anymore. It's all, it's too large basically, but they have belts for that.
Yeah.
And that really is your first change experience.
Yeah.
And the thing is that your deed name, unless you've come up with one yourself.
I have none.
No, you haven't. Your deed name will be Triple Kill.
Nice. But probably, I mean, I think it's nice. I'm not sure if Frankie does necessarily.
No, not necessarily, but it's you do learn as part of what happens after this, of course, while you're still being taught and trained, you do learn that all the three people that you killed had markings on them that shows that they were Fomori. All three of them.
That will give her comfort further down the line.
Yes, further down
So
the
at
line.
the point where she is when we start, she will have come to terms with it.
Yes, but they were they weren't particularly powerful Fomori or anything. They were like, you know, kind of bottom feeders, but at the same time you know, you still killed 3 of them as part of your first change. That's something. And yeah.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is Frankie triple kill Darrow's first change.
Yep, but
And
it's not the last she's unfortunately seen for that. To
no,
that.
unfortunately not. The trip down the river and the animals and the mannequins and the green burning city and so on may just come back to say hello to her once in a while.
Yep, and the feeling of being dirty.
Yes, and that feeling, definitely. So, I am going to end the recording in just a few moments. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening in to this first change story. And please do check out the other ones as well, as they are made available. Bye for now.
Bye.